The spoon froze halfway to my lips. Coffee trembled in porcelain as a shadow fell across the table. Not accidental. Intentional. Perfume arrived first, sharp, floral, expensive. A woman who wanted to be remembered. I looked up. My wife's friend. Gorgeous in a curated way. Hair perfect. Smile practiced. Eyes alert, measuring what I was worth in the moment. Well, she said lightly, as if we were meeting by chance and not fate. This is awkward. I frowned. Wait, you're not on the girls' trip with my wife? Her smile shifted. A crack. Then, amusement slid in, slow and cruel. She's with her lover, she whispered, leaning closer. Didn't you know? The calf noise faded. Cups clinked somewhere far away. My pulse slowed instead of racing. That's how I knew something inside me had already broken, long before this moment. She watched my face carefully. Then she smirked. Forget her, she added. How about lunch with me? Right now? The spoon clattered onto the saucer. I stood up. Didn't shout. Didn't ask questions. Didn't give her the satisfaction of reaction. I paid. As I walked away, I felt her gaze burn into my back, certain I'd turn around. I didn't. Because in that instant, my marriage didn't shatter. It crystallized. And sharp things don't bleed. They cut. The drive home was silent. No radio. No calls answered. Just the hum of tires and my thoughts rearranging themselves against my will. With her lover. Not might be. Not rumors. Not, I think. Certainty has weight. It presses into your chest and dares you to breathe. At home, my wife's suitcase leaned against the wall like an accusation. Her scent lingered familiar, suddenly foreign. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the imprint her body had left. My phone buzzed. A photo. Her by a pool. Sunglasses. Smile. Caption, girls' trip vibes. I almost laughed. Denial tried to rise. It always does. A weak, desperate animal. Maybe the friend lied. Maybe she misunderstood. Maybe I silenced it. Because denial requires effort. And truth, once revealed, is lazy. It waits. I noticed details I had ignored for months. The second phone she never left unattended. The gym classes that ran too late. The way she turned the screen away when texting. I hadn't been blind. I had been polite. That night, I slept beside her ghost. When she called, I let it ring. When she left a voice note, I deleted it without listening. The next morning, my daughter-in-law called. If you want to join Thanksgiving, she shouted over background laughter, come wash the dishes. I smiled. Slowly. Enjoy, I said, and ended the call. That word tasted different now. Enjoy. I didn't confront. Confrontation is what people do when they want comfort or closure. I wanted accuracy. I watched. I pulled phone records with the calm efficiency of someone auditing a failing company. Numbers told stories people never could. Late-night calls to one number. Deleted logs that left digital fingerprints anyway. I followed money. Hotel charges in a city she'd never mentioned. Flights booked through a loyalty account she never used. A second SIM registered under another name, but paid with our joint account. I moved through my days unchanged. I smiled at neighbors. Answered emails. Attended meetings. Inside, a storm calculated trajectories. I also watched my daughter-in-law. She had always been loud with entitlement, subtle with greed, small withdrawals at first. Emergencies. Temporary loans. Always just below the amount that would trigger alerts. I traced them back. Designer bags. A leased car she pretended was borrowed. Private school payments routed through shell excuses. I said nothing. Instead, I flew. Switzerland greeted me with clean air and indifference. Mountains that didn't care about betrayal. A lake that reflected nothing back. I bought the villa quietly. Glass. Stone. Silence measured in millions. From the balcony, I took photos. No captions. I sent them to my wife. Then one more from inside. Wine glass. Firelight. Peace. My phone rang. Once. 10 times. 30. By the time it hit 71 missed calls, I turned it off. Power is deciding when to be unreachable. The report arrived at dawn. Clean. Clinical. Merciless. Names. Dates. Messages stripped of romance and left skeletal and obscene. There was no poetry in it. No passion. Just logistics. When I returned home, I placed the folder on the dining table between us. My wife didn't open it. Her face collapsed anyway. How long? I asked. She cried immediately. Not from guilt. From fear. Tears are survival tools. She reached for my hand. I didn't move. Silence expanded, filling the room like smoke. I can explain, she said. No, I replied softly. You can't. I stood and left her with the truth unopened. That was the cruelty. She already knew what was inside. Later, I forwarded another file. To my son. Bank statements. Withdrawals. Timelines. No commentary. Just facts. He didn't call. He came over. His eyes were hollow. Betrayal ages people quickly. She used me, he said. I nodded once. We didn't hug. This wasn't about healing. It was about alignment with reality. Thanksgiving arrived. I wasn't invited. Instead, I invited consequences. My wife's lover received legal notice first. Breach. Exposure. Financial liability. The romance died under fluorescent office lights. My wife's friend, the one who smirked, received screenshots. Sent to the places she valued most. Social capital evaporates fast when truth circulates. Then my daughter-in-law called. Prying. Screaming. Begging. Her voice cracked under the weight of numbers she could no longer hide. You ruined us, she sobbed. No, I said evenly. You revealed yourself. I ended the call. Divorce papers followed. Efficient, bloodless. Assets already protected, trusts restructured months earlier while everyone assumed I was distracted. I watched from a distance as their worlds contracted, not with pleasure, with precision. Now the house is quiet. Too quiet for regret. I sit alone, not lonely. There's a difference. One aches. The other heals. I think about the calf sometimes. The smirk. The offer of lunch. I think about how easily people mistake silence for weakness. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I didn't burn anything down. I simply stepped aside and let gravity finish the job. Some people lose themselves when betrayed. I lost illusions. And what remained was lighter, sharper, and finally, mine.